Google has just put out a brand new smartwatch in conjunction with LG called the LG Watch Sport. Now there are actually two new smartwatches, the Sport and the Style, but for the purposes of this review, we're going to focus on the $349 Sport watch. Why? Well, because not only does it run on Android Wear 2.0, which is the latest wearable software from Google, but it also has LTE, GPS, built-in heart rate sensors. Basically, the same way that Apple put out an Apple Watch last year that was focused on health and fitness, Google is making a stronger pitch to the fitness crowd with this. Now that's all well and fine in theory, but unfortunately there's one simple thing that makes me want to take this thing off. It's design. Let's talk about the good stuff first. It has GPS, so it can accurately track your distances when you're running and cycling. It has a barometer, which means it can track your elevation, and it has LTE, which means if you're paying for the wireless service, you don't have to take your phone with you when you're working out. You can make phone calls and run apps just from the watch. And the new Android Wear 2.0 software has really optimized the fitness experience. And you can set complications on your watch to be things like your active minutes throughout the day or your daily step count, or you can just set a complication for something like Google Play Music, so when you're ready to go out for a run, you can just tap that and listen to your music. You can also run popular health and fitness apps like Runkeeper or Strava as standalone apps right on the watch itself. All of this activity tracking data is synced to Google Fit, which is Google's own health tracking software, and you can run that on an Android device or on the web. Google's biggest brag, I think, with this watch is the fact that it automatically classifies your weight training exercises. A lot of other smartwatches and fitness watches, you'll just put other or weight training, but it doesn't really know what you're doing. In this case, the watch knows if you've done squats or bicep curls and things like that. You look down at the watch, it knows the exercise that you've done, it'll say how many reps you've done. Now, it's not always accurate. In my experience, it worked maybe half the time, so I still had to do some manual input, but still, it's a pretty cool feature to have. But the thing that kills me about this watch is its size. I mean, this thing is huge, and it's not even the circumference really, because I kind of like a big watch. It's really just how thick it is and how uncomfortable it is to work out in. It's got these wide lugs. The band is pretty stiff and unforgiving around here. I mean, it's really as though Google and LG got into a room and said, how much stuff can we put in this watch? And oh, by the way, it should look like this. Or maybe they just all got into a room and said, let's design this for big-wristed people and forget about everybody else. It's even hard for me to tighten it to the last loop to get a good fit because of how fat it is underneath, which negates some of the fitness features. I mean, for example, does it track heart rate through the wrist? Yes, but you need a good fit for that to happen. And it has GPS for tracking running, but I don't want to go running with it because when I run, it slides up and down my wrist, which is really annoying. And in some cases, this button right here, which is the voice-controlled Google Assistant, is accidentally activated when I'm bending my wrist, doing push-ups, cycling, that sort of thing, just because of how big it is. Basically, my biggest gripe with the LG Watch Sport is the look and feel of it, which is a shame really, because inside there's some interesting stuff going on. But that's the thing with wearables. Unless you're motivated to wear them all the time, you don't really get the benefit of wearing them. I'm curious to see what other manufacturers do with Android Wear 2.0, and I'm guessing there are other smartwatches out there that are running this software that have some of the same benefits, but are better designed. But for now, I'm taking this thing off. But then there is the air vent. Air vent. And it's just up our video shoot. Air vent.